ESP uses labels to group iPads. iPads can have multiple labels. These can be either device labels, app labels, or user labels. Let's see how that's done. Under the device option in the left-hand menu, you can choose device label. This is where you manage the labels within ESP. As you can see, we've got a number of labels here. Some of them are topic-based, music. Some of them are year-based. Some of them are collections of iPads, for example, cards. So to create a label, you just click on the Create New, you give the label a name, and then you can determine whether it's public, whether it's just for administrative purposes, whether it's configured for an individual, or whether it's configured for a group. Once you've created labels, you can then manage these labels. So under device management, you now see all of these device labels that have been created. And if we choose the labels, they act as a filter. So if you can see the actual labels here, so you would expect if we just chose the reception label, we'll just see that one iPad. We can then perform actions just on that one iPad. So we could now push VPP apps out to the reception group of iPads. We could lock those iPads. We could install additional profiles to those groups of iPads. Or we can deal on an individual iPad basis if we click on this level here. But if we stick with the labels for the moment, if we untick that label, we can now see all the other labels and all the other groups. Now, if we want to go back to manage the labels again, if we go back to device labels, what you'll notice is next to the labels we can see what devices have been assigned to them. And here we can see this device has been assigned to this group. Now obviously in a school situation you'd have probably many more iPads in each group. But just so we can see what's happening, if we look at this reception group, we can set the devices here that are associated with this reception group. If we hit set, we could then choose the iPads we specifically want to add to that group and hit confirm. Now when we go back to this option here, we can see that there are now 3 iPads connected with the reception year group, and here they are. If we go back to the device management screen, you will then see that there are 3 iPads associated with that group. If we choose the reception group here, we've then filtered on it, and we can then perform bulk actions on those groups to push out apps, profiles, books, all kinds of things can be pushed out and managed against those devices. Next, we can look at app labels. So these are device labels. So if you like, these are ways of grouping the devices. If we look at the app label, we're looking at grouping the apps. So if we look here under the app label here, we can look at app management and the app labels. First of all, let's look at the labels that have been created. So I mean, here these are topic based, and that would be very common. You might have apps for teaching staff, you might have apps for all kinds of subjects, for music, for history, for PE, and you can create those groups. Here, if we click on this, it's a very similar thing. When you click on the icon, we can see all of the apps that are currently associated with the media group. And if we click here on the edit button, we can set which apps are associated with this label. Here we can see all of the apps, and we can see the ones with the tick are currently associated. So if I wanted to add this DJ app, I just choose that as well and hit confirm, and that one is now associated with the media group. You can see we're now up to 11. If I go then into the app management section, this is where we can see all of the apps in our list, and we can refresh the apps that we purchased to actually make sure that any we've just recently purchased do actually appear in here. So if we now go back to our device management, we can now choose a group of iPads, the reception group, and we can now push out apps to this group of devices, and we can choose the apps and we can choose them by the app label. So we can choose the media apps to push out to that group of iPads.